Hi, everyone, again. Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you're joining us from. I'm Megha Chaudhary, Global Head of Marketing and Alliance Management at C5I. Welcome and thank you for joining our LinkedIn Live on building the connected intelligent enterprise with AI powered data management. This session will focus on how enterprises can address challenges such as siloed systems, data quality issues, manual processes, and increasing regulatory demands. You will learn how leading organizations are embedding AI and ML across the data lifecycle to overcome these challenges and enable smarter, faster decision making. For those who are joining us for the first time, I would like to introduce the host company. C5I. C5I is a pure play AI and analytics provider that combines the power of human perspective with AI technology to deliver trustworthy intelligence. The company drives value through a comprehensive solution set, integrating multifunctional teams, and have technical and business domain expertise with a robust suite of platforms, solutions, and accelerators tailored for various industry specific use cases. At the core, C5I is focused to deliver business impact at speed and scale by driving adoption of AI assisted decision making. Now we'll move on to the housekeeping items. A recording will be available on our event page for those who have registered, and we will have at least 10 to 15 minutes dedicated to Q&A. You can post your questions in the comment sections. If they do not get answered during the live for any reason, send us your questions at scalewithgenai at C5I. We have a time frame for about 45 to 60 minutes, and we hope you will stay with us throughout this LinkedIn Live. Now, with this, let me introduce you to our speakers for the day. Meet Shadab Hussain, Director of Cloud and AI Sales at Microsoft, serving the telco, media, and gaming business unit across Americas. With more than 24 years of experience in data and AI, Shadab is passionate about partnering with customers and industry leaders to unlock business value through cloud innovation. Throughout his career, including leadership roles at Wipro and now Microsoft, Shadab has driven business development and consulting initiatives, helping organizations transform with intelligent solutions. He is known for his inclusive, data driven leadership style and his commitment to building strategic partnerships, scaling AI powered solutions, and empowering teams to deliver real impact. Shadab also co hosts the AI Files, very interesting, a YouTube channel and Apple podcast that explores the rapidly evolving AI landscape, sharing the latest announcements, insights, and learning resources from Microsoft and the broader industry. So please be sure to follow him. And next we have Rakesh Verma. Rakesh Verma, as a VP and Global Head of Data Engineering and Intelligent Insights at C5I, brings in near about 2.5 decades in conceptualizing industry data products, setting up data engineering and business intelligence practices, and envisioning AI driven data management in intelligent solutions for impactful outcomes. Within market strategy, his focus is on reshaping customer analytics journey and crafting profitable business engagements. Hi, Shadab. Hi, Rakesh. Welcome. And now, with that, I'll hand it over to both of you to get this exciting session started.
Thank you, Megha. Pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Rakesh.
Hi, Sadaf. Thank you, Megha. Great to have this connect with you, Sadaf. We have been talking a lot about how AI can be impactful in managing the data, data quality, data governance. Great to have you as, uh, as a partner when we started talking about how do we leverage AI for data quality management, and rather not only data quality, right? We spoke about how do we leverage AI for entire data management solution, which includes data quality, metadata, data governance, lineage, policies, right? So I recall we when I started envisioning into this journey of AI, how I can leverage in data, right? So almost 8 9 months back, everyone was talking about data for AI, right? How data can be trustworthy for the AI outcome, the AI consumption, AI use case. I started looking into that how AI for data can become impactful, right? How I, rather than waiting for data to deliver the AI outcome, how we can have AI embedded part of the data management, right? Data quality. There are various model which is building up. So with that advent, we started quite a bit a journey of creating intelligent data management solution as C5I, and working along with you from a Microsoft stack, right? And I think jointly uh, we are seeing value which is perceived by customer, right? And just to set the context here, there are a lot of data quality tools. There are a lot of data quality tool per se product which is getting advanced, right? But it is not to compete or compromise of any of that value which data quality tools bring on the table, right? When we implement our data engineering, data management solution, AI is more to do with how do we contextualize, how do we leverage power of AI uh, when the quality rules are getting implemented. How do we drive AI for contextual understanding, and many other aspects which we will talk about during the course of discussion. And when we envision this space jointly from C5I perspective, we know that customer are into journey of a lot of customer have already implemented a lot of data quality data management solution, and it is at a mature stage. So I call that as a AI for the reverse engineering aspect, that when it is already on motion and the implementation has gone live, how do we look into AI to do a reverse engineering and build a value. The second category of implementation which are happening are around forward looking route, how AI can drive the forward looking implementation when lot many customers are reshaping this journey of data foundation. So with that as a context, I definitely wanted to open up to Sadab to give some perspective, and then we will cover uh, how Microsoft is approaching this area, how we are looking into AI in practices which are uh, using the power of Gen AI, Open AI, uh, key mean clustering. So there are a lot of models which are available and which is maturing, right? Then we will look into how customer values and industry relevance, how we are seeing value, how customer is perceiving. They are still in the lot of customer in the prototyping stage. There are customer which is taking to the production, but it's a journey which I'm sure that C5I, Microsoft, and customer we have to go together to reach the end state and get the value of it. And then we will also cover how the future is looking from a AI from a future outlook perspective, right? And please feel free to put your question on the chat window. I will pick it up the question as we go through the discussion, and wherever I feel it is quite relevant to put that question in front of Sadab, and what I can take it up, we will take it from there. So, Sadab, over to you. How do you see this space in the context of AI driving the data quality, data management?
Great. Thank you, Rakesh. It's a pleasure to be here today, first of all. And I must also say, like, it's an honor to actually participate in this event along with our key partner like C5I, because without the partnership, Microsoft alone just cannot do it, right? I mean, we can't even do half the things without the partners like C5I, because that's where the real value of the AI or data, whatever it is, come out when you have customer, Microsoft, and C5I work together to create that value, right? So deeply appreciate all the work that we do very closely with partners like C5I. So now let's talk about that. Let me set the backdrop of what do we see AI doing to data, right? First of all, I think we need to really understand the backdrop that AI is not just a sprinkle over the top of what you have, right? It's not just a cherry on the top, it's the entire cake itself. The AI is actually reinventing everything, which means that everything is being rebuilt, and that's the right way of doing it. So, for example, we when the internet came into being, that the businesses were being rebuilt right around the internet, around the brands were being done, the websites were being built around the internet, the The bricks and mortar company had to actually evolve to actually do that. Then the mobile came, and then you had to do the mobile native kind of interfaces and the processes. The cloud actually, now you're building the systems in the cloud. It's not just enough to actually migrate and move whatever you have on prem just to rehost that in the cloud. You don't really harness the true power of cloud by just doing that. And the similar thing happens with the AI as well. It's not just enough to simply call an API to do it. Yes, you find the instant value, but to truly harness the potential of AI, you have to also start building the business which are AI native, just like the businesses were built digital native sometimes back. Now there's time to actually, the businesses are being built AI native, right, which is already happening. And similarly, what I also see is that the systems also need to be built AI native. Your data warehouse, your the way we have done conventionally, the insights and the enterprise BI has to be rebuilt. And that's where the opportunity is, because that's where you truly unlock what has been around and has not been used. So that's the biggest opportunity for AI. In fact, I'll tell you, working with my customers, the customers have started questioning, why do I even need a warehouse? Why do I need a data warehouse or reporting? I don't need this. Right now, I need to think about feed the data, put that as a RAG into a Copilot or ChatGPT kind of system, which can then skim through the data and build it. Right. So it's a new thinking of doing things. So that kind of extreme ideas are already starting to be experimented. Essentially, we are reinventing and rebuilding things. So that's how we have to set the backdrop of what AI is doing to the overall data management, which means the processes have to change. We don't have to redo the same processes that we have been doing for years. And that's really is setting the pace for today. So other thing I can also tell you is that the companies are now relooking at the way they are using AI to automatically organize, clean, and gleaning insights from the data. They are actually looking at, okay, how can they use the data as fast as possible? They are bringing the AI in the pipelines, data pipelines, so that you can get to the insights much faster. You don't have to do all the way to the end to wait for the data to be curated, etc. So AI is fundamentally changing the way you're doing data management and how you're leveraging the data.
Great thought, Sadaf. Thanks. So let me little deep dive into what does it mean, right, from a customer and industry standpoint, and let me pick up after talking to few customer where we have seeing how we are going to bring the value of AI into data management space. So let me pick up uh, three different scenarios where what I started with, right? That we see this space as a forward engineering and reverse engineering. So let me pick up the first part when I talk about reverse engineering. Let me pick up the use case of reverse engineering. So this is the customer who has very 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 good data lake, which is there on Azure Databricks, uh, uh, and they have also implemented a good cataloging solution. Right now, the problem now it is all building trust on data. So the problem statement which is there from this customer, that they have lot many derived KPIs, right, which are being used today in the business consumption, whether it is for the operational reporting, whether it is for the new area of monetization, or even looking at the top at the executive level, right? So how the problem statement which has been given to us, that how AI can really build confidence that whatever my derived KPIs are calculated today, how I can take a power of AI to, because the data quality rules are applied, the value of data management has been put in, the data lake is there, the cataloging is done, but beyond that, how do we bring a value of derived KPIs, trust to the business that okay, whatever it is calculated, it is done correctly, and when though it is a use case to look into how do we fix it, rather than starting to fixing it, rather than that, it is area of identifying the problem. So if I pick up three KPIs, right, which has to be now given a confidence with the power of AI. So the entire gamut of and why AI, right? Even if we look into in the current stage of AI, which is prevalent now, right? If we look into, there are a lot of models. There are models like K-mean. There are a lot of LLMs. Uh, so the problem statement which started with building confidence on this KPIs derived value, if we double click on it and go a little deeper on the aspect which has to be covered to fix the problem and build the trust on data, is all about going to the entire lineage of from where data is coming, right? It is because it is a derived KPIs, it will have multiple business rules applied, transformation rule applied to create the value. So one is that having entire lineage where data is coming from. The second is that the derived KPI is what transformation rule it has gone through, because it will use multiple columns. Then the third aspect comes the tabliness of data. Is that all the KPIs, which are all the values of data which is used to derive, identify, and build this KPIs, is that data has been synchronized timely, right? So looking at this as a one of the industry use case, and I will pick another few in the discussion. And between C5I and Microsoft, we are looking into jointly building a solution around it. We have already identified some of the mechanism which model which can be used, like came in to do the clustering or profiling of the data. We are looking into how IQR interquartile model can be used to do the modeling to do the rationale behind clubbing the data in the categorization, whether it falls into 25% false positive, falls into negative positive. So all of that which is happening, right? So I will let me also pick your thought about this use case, Sadab, that from a Microsoft entire tech stack perspective, where we have Azure Purview, we have all the lineage, we have OpenAI, we have various other models which are available from Azure. Uh, can you just pick up this and also elaborate what you are thinking, how you are looking into this, while we jointly building on it, but any point of view and thought from you from a Microsoft perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rakesh. So I'll tell you, we have been in the industry for almost 25 years, and what we have seen is this whole paradigm of 80-20, right? Where you had to put 80% effort just to prep the data, and 20% of the effort is only going into actually leveraging the data. It's been a problem. 80% was a necessary evil. It was not a something that you wanted to do it, but you had to do it just because of the data fragmentation, the data quality problem, the data integration problem, and the data is lying. On average, there are at least 5 copies of data in the enterprise. Now you have to pick the right where the right source is, and then you don't even know sometimes where it is, right? So discovery was a problem. Things have been a problem, right? We have spent our career actually doing things, but now I see that it's flipping, and we are ready to flip that equation to make just 20% in the actually preparation and 80% actually leveraging the data. And how do we do that? So our perspective from Microsoft is that we are now at a situation where everything is coming together like a perfect storm, where you now have the all the compute, the storage, and the technologies where you can actually leverage them. The lot of customers have moved their systems and data from on-prem to the cloud so that they can actually run them at the scale. And now the technologies like AI has come, which is providing the capability which did not exist earlier, right? So that's how the perfect storm is brewing. Now, on the other hand, what we have done is Microsoft perspective is that, look, this fragmentation, this data management problem is still persist, and how do we solve that? So we have created, and that thought process is reflecting in our platform, or rather service, called Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric, what it does is it essentially brings everything together as a unified analytics platform. And when I say unified, it is truly unified. There is a complete open layer where you actually store the data, which is what we call one lake. It's one copy of data. Imagine this: when you are on your Windows machine, you go to the folder, and then you are sharing, you're storing all your files and documents in one folder, and then you are putting that in the cloud in OneDrive, right? So that's OneDrive of your data. Similarly, OneLake is a OneDrive of your data, for your enterprise data. Now, everything that you put there. Now, once you have put there, why do you need to move it? Like from one area to another and another application, and then another application has to connect to it, then again it has to be moved or curated. No, it is not needed. One copy of data should be enough. All the thing, like whether it's a data engineering or data warehouse is, by the way, become optional, right? You don't always need to do it, but if you want, you can do it. There is a lake house, there is an event house, there are so many different houses now available, so you can build on top of that one lake, and then everything is open. This is not a proprietary format. We support basically Delta Lake. We started with, now we support Iceberg, so you can actually interchange the format, and which is a true way to go. Because otherwise, look at this: there's a Snowflake, there's a Databricks, there are other formats, and everybody is stuck because it's a proprietary lock-in. So we have open data. Okay, so it's a completely open uh, format, and then the every experience should be same. Today what happens is that you have a different tool for ETL, then you bring the data in a data warehousing platform, which is a different platform. Then you do the reporting, most likely that's another different platform. AI is a different platform. All the experiences are different, so one person cannot do everything. There are different teams actually have to do. But what Fabric has done is it has created a experience which is consistent. Same Power BI, which is like most popular platform, they have taken that and replicate the same experience across data engineering, data management, data warehousing, and everything. So now the same person knows how to do it. It's well connected. And in the end, I will say the bottom line is, a chief data officer, we constantly heard from them that I'm a chief data officer, I'm not a chief integration officer. Why do I need to do all this integration? And that's why this Fabric essentially bring everything once, and that's it. After that, it is available for all the experiences. You can even do the AI on top of that. AI doesn't need to be separate and disjointed part of the continuum. It is now inbuilt. There is a copilot. There is a data agent. You can build the agent all on part of that. So in all, I would say it's a full consolidation and unification of analytics continuum, right from the acquisition to all the way to insights generation and forecasting, etc. All in one, all connected, and one person can do it. On the other hand, the roles are also changing, because the analyst who was limited to the end of the continuum now can even bring the data in. So the roles are getting shuffled around as well. The developer can do the analysis, and analyst can do the development, and that's what is our paradigm. That's what Microsoft is actually going out to the market with.
Great point, great thought, and great advent. If I just pick up and little bit of calibrate the use case that I picked up, right? That how do we uh, solve the problem of customer building trust on the derived KPIs? So I started with some kind of a ideas and thought that how we are implementing it. What Sadab has brought in from a Microsoft perspective, very important aspect that the Fabric and OneLake and having an analytics dashboard, part of the same one unified engine, unified architecture is helping. So I spoke about that how do we create a lineage from all the data sources, and like he spoke about that a lot of data comes from lot many sources. There are many. So one lake is creating that synergized integrated view where the data can be brought in, and I can pick up the entire lineage from anywhere. Then build further advancement of AI, like OpenAI use OpenAI API keys to drive further data quality management around it, and then look into how do I build that KPI dashboard in possibly in Power BI, right? How do we build the KPI dashboard where the recommended features, right, where we have how many are correct results, how many are error, how many are fatal errors, how many are warnings, and then beyond whatever he spoke about having a foundry, and that is what we are looking into at the end state, while We build this lineage, we bring the data quality driven through AI, where the values, the problems are, and when we profile it, when it cluster it, when it evaluate. But then it is all about the last stage of doing a remediation, and that is where the power of AI brings double impact, where and the human in the loop, right? If we have the remediation of all this problem being taken care through a very well orchestrated AI engine, right? If I am the user and I've been given all this data quality problem, and also the data, the what how to solve it has been given to me, the remediation for it, then a good engine which can actually interact with the end user, and through a chat model or through any other model which can interact with the data, and I can interact with the outcomes of it, and I can really look into as a human that these are the right remediation to look at, and these are not required because it's not a business critical. These are because definitely there will be false positive, right? So looking at this advancement, what we spoke about together is creating a one big advantage in the reverse engineering, where you build trust on data, and it is really valuable, and it is in the prototyping stage. Definitely this will get productionized as we move forward, and I'm talking about just picking 10 kpis. There are thousands of kpis which will need this kind of a solution. So let me now move on to the next one, again in the context of reverse engineering. This customer has hundred and thousands of table, and Sadaf also spoke about that. In last 20 25 year, 30-year plus, a lot of data has been already in place in customer environment, and this customer has 100,000 tables. In the first use case I spoke about, that there is a metadata which can use to identify the problem. In this use case, the metadata itself doesn't exist, and none of the tool can solve creation of the data metadata on data. The only way to get metadata corrected or identified for the table by doing the profiling of the data, that will actually lead to really get into the level where the metadata exists. And the problem statement is that when someone is looking into redefining the data foundation in for the use of AI, right? How AI can be leveraged to create those metadata which is missing, so that exactly beyond that, building a knowledge graph or building a cohesive model will actually give those missing gaps in the erstwhile. Before AI, if you look into manual, we used to do a lot of data profiling, create a document, create all this analysis, then create a metadata if it is a gap, and build a document and deliver to business, right? But in the advent of AI, it becoming very prevalent that AI can be leveraged to create the entire context, create a metadata, and we are seeing value of models like light gradient boosting machine, right? Light GBM. So in the context of Sadab, in this use case where the hundred thousands, hundred and thousands of tables, so 100,000, 1 lakh tables which are there, creating a metadata gap, not having a metadata, then trying to identify, then data CDOs and CIOs and architects are getting into the problem area and say that, okay, let me bring how I can have a metadata problem fixed, so that the next step of creating a data integration challenges, fixing the data integration challenges and quality could be met. So from your perspective, you must be seeing many other customer having a similar problem, because you're dealing with a large customer with a large databases. So how do you see, Sadab, some of it you touched upon, but if you can double click on it and bring the value that you see from Microsoft perspective, how this reversing use case can be picked up.
Great point, Rakesh. And it reminds me of a wonderful work that was reported by Walmart. Walmart is actually a big customer of Microsoft, and one of the largest customer, one of the largest store in the world. And its CEO, Doug McMillan, when he was reporting the earning, I think a couple of quarters back, he actually talked about it. And I really like that because it highlights exactly what you're talking about, right? So, you know, look, the fundamentally what Walmart is changing is how we actually even look and find and search for what we are looking for, right? Same thing is happening, right? In today, we are habitual of blue links. We go to the Bing or Google, and then we make a search query, and then we sift through all those links to find out what we're looking at. It could take time, and not everybody is good at that, to be honest. We don't always reach the answer. My goal is not to sift through the link. My goal is to get an answer. And that's what the OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Copilot and others have done fundamentally. I don't need links, I need an answer, right? Same need to happen for everything. So when you go to the Walmart website, you should not be looking for, okay, I want Doritos, right? Or I want to buy the milk, okay? That's not what you should be looking for. You have a purpose that you're actually looking it for. So, for example, you may be going with a purpose that, okay, I want to organize a football watch party. That's what your purpose, right? And so what you do is you basically say, help me organize a watch party for football for 6 people. Now it should give you the ideas, and it should give you the appropriate amount of ingredients as well as a list of ingredients that you need, and it should give you the suggestion. That's what I need to get. But how do you get there? You cannot get there without a right metadata layer in the place. You cannot. You have to have that semantic layer in place, how things are connected, how, what do you need for what. Without that, the AI cannot work on top of that. So how do you get there? You need to have the right metadata layer. And this is exactly what Walmart CEO talked about. So he said that we are using multiple LLMs to accurately create or improve over 850 million pieces of data in the catalog. Without the use of Gen AI, this work would have required nearly 100x the current headcount to complete in the same amount of time. That's the power of AI in that metadata management of what we have today. We could not do it yesterday. We are able to do it today without spending 100 times the team size, and yet enabling a fundamental change of behavior for the consumer, right? I'm not searching for Doritos, I'm searching for my end goal. That's what is a great power and a case study of how it is being done today.
Great. I think this is the right time to pick up one of the question which has come in before I take the next use case. Uh, and I think great thought which is coming in. So, with the recent report showing that data management remains the top technical blocker to scaling AI, even more than security or compute. What is your idea on how organizations can re-architect their data infrastructure, especially around metadata, observability, and real-time data pipeline, to be ready for enterprise scale AI without racking up cost or complexity? Right? Let me double click on this question, and then I will pass it on to Sadab also to talk about it. And very when we look into having a enterprise ready for the data management, obviously the point, if we double click, which generally comes into it, that how do you solve the data quality, how, and I spoke about it when I started the session. I spoke about having a strong data management system which includes data quality, metadata management, uh, having a data security, data governance, policies and data policies and procedures around it. So one thing which I did not brought it at that time was putting an entire data observability around it, right? So it is not about just one-time implementation. So when I spoke about having a reverse data engineering problem to solve, when we solve it, we need to have a data observability. And in the when we look into solving this problem for AI, it becomes very important that we have a right data infrastructure which actually covers end-to-end entire gamut of this data management and data observability. Recently we have implemented something on Microsoft and something on Azure, on Databricks and few other databases on Azure, where we have brought in the entire strong data observability, which actually starts with the entire metadata to lineage. So build that entire data observability pipeline, which will actually continuously monitor what is happening and if any kind of a data change is happening, right? Let us say. there is a new data, there is a product which is getting launched in the new market. Now I need to bring that data in the same data foundation from the new market, right? So how AI can use the power of all the learnings, and that is where what is Sada spoke about, that putting a AI models in play which will learn will actually help us to get the entire new market data seamlessly integrated in the current data foundation. And I'm sure that Microsoft is also looking into this space of putting all the right levers so that data management doesn't become a blocker, or any uh, data having a data doesn't become a blocker for the AI. And definitely it should not be costly affair, and then it should be seamlessly and easy to integrate. So your thought on that, Sada, what the question which has come on board with us?
Yeah, I would say that there are multiple aspects of this, but it's pretty much like the same that I said earlier about how we are looking at this entire space with the fabric. Fabric represents what we are trying to do. Like this question is specifically talk about how to do it without racking up cost or complexity. So where does the cost or complexity comes, right? Cost and complexity comes from so much effort that you have to do just preparing the data, so much effort that you have to do the integrating the data, right, the engine that has to run behind. But what if you are actually not duplicating the data? What if you don't have to integrate all the data all the time, right? And that's why this concept of one lake that comes, right? So you put it, of course there are some, you know, there are ways in which you need to organize the data so that it can relate with each other. But then again, you don't have to create the reports, like you don't have to run the reports, and again which creates a complexity, because then you have to create the models and then report. You can directly create an agent on top of the data, which is what, for example, we have something called data agent. What you can do is, essentially, let's say your data is lying in a SQL warehouse or in or data lake. You can create a data agent within Fabric and then say that, okay, these are the tables and the fields I want to analyze or find the answer on. And then you choose those fields. Let's say that is related to revenue. um, and that becomes the source, the grounding source for that data agent. And this is all happening within Fabric. Okay, you are not even going out anywhere. And then you can just start simply natural language, start typing. Okay, yeah, what is my revenue? Okay, why is it dipping? The agent, basically the Azure OpenAI powered agent, is able to analyze the data. So we have to understand that a lot of this can AI can all automatically do. Now you don't have to do. So that is where you're saving the cost, you're saving the complexity, and then it can create those answers. You can also expose that data agent to anybody. You can publish that data agent. So suddenly now you are agentifying your operations, and now you're putting the agents on top of the data. That is solving the complexity, that is solving the cost. Okay. Um, and and then you also talked about, this question also talked about some interesting stuff about the real time data pipeline. Very interesting, because data pipeline, again, the moment you have to build a lot of data pipeline, that creates a latency, right? But by using the AI powered algorithm right in the data pipeline, you can actually analyze it much faster as the data is moving through the pipeline, rather than waiting for it at the end to arrive and then you do the analysis. So that is also happening. We have something called real time intelligence, which is a module within the Fabric, which actually does that. So what it does is, in the real time, as you processing the data and bringing it in, it is analyzing the data, it is triggering the anomalies, and then based on the anomalies you can set the alerts. You can say that, okay, if this happens, if the temperature in my warehouse is dropping below, immediately fire a power automation platform, right, a workflow that can take action, right? So the actions are happening in the real time within the pipeline. Again, that is where you're saving. You don't have to wait for 1 hour for data to arrive. This is how you're actually solving currently the complexity and this is a huge thing, real time, because this is an area which has been generally underutilized. Most of the time it has been generally a batch based analytics, but now with the technology available, we are able to do things in real time. 40% of our customers in Fabric are actually using real-time pipeline and the data intelligence. So that is changing the game already. I hope that answers whatever the question whoever
Great. I
asked.
think, yep, that was quite an interesting discussion from both the sides. I think a lot of questions are flowing in, but one question which I wanted to definitely pick it up, uh, which is around MDM. We did not speak about MDM, the traditional data governance. When I started, and the question is around, do you see MDM, ETL, and traditional data governance going away with now the data needs of AI agents being real time? With the data, will the data be stored in C2 or be integrated and moved to data lake, which is the current trend with data products and LLM generated metadata? So, I wanted to, and this has come from Sayan. So, Sayan, if I pick up this question, the one thing which I also started with, that the traditional way of having a MDM and data governance, which are there, it is not going away. But definitely, if we look into investing on building a strong master data management solution with the advent of AI, is definitely going to get a lot of questions around the decision which business will make. Because generally, if we look into MDM, we used to have deduplication, create a master data, match and merge, build a single source of truth from a data perspective, and it will continue. We will, whatever MDM has been built will continue. But when you look into all the deduplication logic which now AI is coming with, right? And I spoke about few models which are available. Uh, it is becoming very adamant that do we really need to spend time, energy, and cost to build that strong MDM data solution, or and in the age of agentic, all of us, we know that the way it is changing, it will definitely bring a value in having a real time data management solution. So as of now, it is not going away. But if we look into a journey of next 3 to 5 years, where this will head to, this will definitely have a different architectural approach. Like you said, the current trend of data products and LLM, which is picking up. It's early to call out, but definitely something to think about. How do we really bring the value of AI into entire data management, which we have this discussion about. So over to you, Sadav. If you have to pick up from Microsoft standpoint, what do you see? Uh, it is now going to happen, and even if you look into now next 2 to 3 years, what do you see about it?
Sure. Happy to share, and I agree with you, Rajay, Rakesh, that you know things are not fundamentally moving away. However, things are transforming, as you said, right? So, for example, MDM, right? You master data management. The aspects of that are changing. For example, one of the aspect is the data quality, right? We curate the data and then cleans the data, and then before we match and integrate and all those things, the data quality aspect itself are changing. For example, many times we have the completion issues of the data, right? um, but the use of the Gen AI actually help you address that, because the Gen AI is very capable when it comes to create. In other words, we also know that feature as hallucinate, right? Because it is able to. So sometimes that hallucination could also be a feature if you use it right? Not completely fictitiously, but they have a capability to prophesize, to essentially extrapolate, okay, based on what they see. You can use that extrapolation to actually fill the data which is incomplete. You can also do the analysis for it to say that, okay, this particular field doesn't gel that well with the other 10 fields, because on most of the other records I see that this field is in line with these other. There is a strong correlation. It can predict that maybe this field is inaccurate. So you have now the new tools, new technologies available to actually look at the data quality in much more productive way and even correct it, right? So it can even correct it. The other good thing about AI is that it's not very rigid on the data. When you throw the data in, how many times you see that Copilot or OpenAI, ChatGPT, etc., complaining, I don't have enough data. How many times do you see that? You don't, because it is very good at analyzing the data and filling the gaps or taking the liberty, but you can control that setting. So the data management is changing. In my view, data management is becoming easier that way, but it remains very critical, because if you don't put the measures in place, AI will take a liberty, and then your data management go for a toss. And then what you get is basically there's a problem, because now you have ungrounded insights, which is not good for your business. And we have seen that, right? So data management is very critical, and data management is a key to AI, but there is a reverse loop there, that AI is also helping in the data management. So this loop is getting faster in terms of the movement. That's what we see. And there are plenty of examples. I gave some examples, but there are plenty of examples in which AI is actually helping. The other aspect is also the governance. And I can tell you that governance is also extremely important, because
So, Sadaf,
um,
sorry for interjecting, and this is the right time where I wanted to pick up this question from
Mhm.
Manish Dameja. So he's asking a very important question, that now with the advent of data model accessing the data being in the lake, and data being obviously spread across everywhere in the organization. So isn't data governance going to be a big challenge now? Manish, great question. I think, like Sadav spoke about, and I will let Sadav speak further on the data governance. But from our point of view, data governance is a must, and it has to be in place. But with the advent of technology, what we are seeing, the entire facet of having a data quality, metadata, data lineage, data security and controls and policies, a lot of advancement is happening in the technology space, which will bring those value on the table for us to implement as an implementer, which will really solve this complex problem in a much easier and seamless way. It is not going to be easy. It will take time, and it has to be in place, but there are advancements which will really help us to bring this. And if we speak every day, there are a lot of product players which are coming with a PII data security features. There have been a lot of, in the age of agentic, there are a lot of innovation which is happening, which will really bring value to solve this complex problem. And let Sadav, I will let you talk about it. And I thought this is the good time to take that question and put your thought around it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, data governance is definitely remaining a challenge, but it is also becoming a bit easier in certain aspect, right? So for example, data governance, let's talk about that, right? It's about labeling, and again, AI helps in labeling, right? So I give an example. The Walmart example is a great example of how you can do the labeling and classification. That's a fundamental aspect of the governance. Then the other aspect is also the data security part of it, right? The making sure that only the only the privileged users have the access to it. So remember, when Rakesh talked about this whole reverse engineering and the lineage is not just about the data. The lineage is also about the security and privilege of that, right? That should not change as the data is moving forward. So for example, typically what happens, you have the data in the data warehouse and you put all the measures in place. Only the people with the right access will get the data, and then a user will download the data in the Excel. What happens after that? All the securities go for the toss, right? So as the data move from one system to another, the data governance goes for a toss. This is the fundamental problem today. But by unifying this entire data supply chain, the data continuum I talked about, now you can also unify the data governance. So, in fact, Fabric actually integrates with your Microsoft 365 Office products. So, whatever privilege and data governance and access and control that you put in the data lake on the data, when a user export that data into Excel, that model continues. The user who did not have the access to that data in one lake will also not be able to see that data in that downloaded Excel from the Fabric, because that has been integrated. And that's why this unification is extremely important, because we need to understand it's not just about data, it's also about access control and everything. And with all of this, all the thing that we talked about it, data is going to become extremely critical when it comes to the security and the governance and other part. The other part of data governance is discovery, right? The discovery and cataloging. And that is also fundamentally changing. Gone are the days when you have to write complex SQL to understand what is in your data and you need to remember what is my field name, etc. No, you write in plain natural language on what you are looking for and you get the answers, right? As long as you set the data layer correctly. So the thing is that I would say that it is fundamentally changing. The aspects remain critical, but the bar becomes lower. That's how I will put it.
Sure. I think great thought. So let me also pick up one more question which came around data, right? And the data security when there is a lot of advancement around LLM models, right? So a good question which has come in where again Manish is asking that how do you see LLM clients are worried that LLM is secured or not secured when they are accessing their data. And I'm sure, Sadab, that you will have a thought from a Microsoft perspective because there is very stringent and strong responsible AI which is coming in play, right? And that is where I am seeing a lot of customer, which is and a lot of enterprises which have put a lot of investment and focus around responsible AI because if LLM is using data, all of us we know that LLM has been trained on the models, which the data which exist publicly. Uh, there are a couple of thoughts around here that do you expose data to LLM of the enterprise of customer without having a responsible AI who build the trust, who build the security and controls to use it. From a Microsoft perspective, Sadab, a lot of focus on responsible AI, a lot of focus on data security when LLM, Gen AI, and AI advancement is happening. So, can you just talk about that from Microsoft perspective?
Sure. Yep. I think that's a very critical aspect, and from a Microsoft perspective, that's why we have created these tools like Copilot, which have this setting, right? You can toggle between that. Okay, I want to strictly work, like use it as a work setting, and not a web setting. What it does is it allows you to only access the documents which are inside the your work domain. Secondly, also that we have done a clear liability protection and very clear statements on what we call it customer copyright commitment. Essentially, we are making sure and we are promising that when you use our solutions and Azure OpenAI, the insights that you get or the output that you get is free of liabilities, free of IP's infringement, and we will cover you if you get any litigation because of that, right? And the way we are doing it, also, whatever the output is produced is your own copyrights, right? So you basically you don't need to worry about the it being stolen from somebody else, and you also don't need to worry about that you are carrying any liabilities or have to pay royalty, etc., because you own the output of that model. Okay, so that is how we are taking care of some of that aspect in terms of the making sure that the data will not be used outside. That is also a commitment. It's a very clearly written, whatever you use with these models, this is not a bi-directional flow. The models are already trained. The models are not training live. Okay, when you're using these models or Copilot or Chat GPT or the GPT model, they are not training online. They've already been trained. Now you have instance of model using that data, and that data does not get passed on to the model developer. So the when you use a Copilot, if we are using the GPT model behind it, that data does not go to OpenAI at all. It remains within your Azure tenant. It doesn't even go outside your Azure tenant. So these are the documented commitments and the promises made. In fact, some customers say that I don't even want anybody to see like even any technological component to access my data while it is being processed. So we even have something called confidential computing as part of the responsible AI or trustworthy AI that we talk about. So confidential computing means that data that moves from you to the model to the getting the processing done at the core level, CPU level, GPU level, entire pipeline is confidential. It's is encrypted. Nobody can see that, right? So that is how. So those level of I would say nuts and bolts are in place to secure your data. And
Great.
there are a couple of other questions, Rakesh. I also wanted to
Yeah,
just quickly address. Laura had one question
yeah,
around
yeah, yeah.
how
I also
AI
wanted
data management
because
is being
when
used
we talk
for
about AI
yes,
and we do not talk about unstructured data, it becomes incomplete.
yes,
So why don't you
correct.
pick question what Laura has? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So I think one of the great advantage of Gen AI is that essentially, again, you're not training it live. It already has the relationship between the different component. So when you throw the a document on unstructured data in, you don't have to establish a what do you say the relationship between different. It already knows most of it, right? Sometime, occasionally, you might have a situation where your data is so specific to yourself, your unstructured data or structured data doesn't matter, is so specific that the model doesn't know what it means, right? It could be a very industry specific term. Now in those cases, the AI doesn't know. It doesn't know the relationship. And if it doesn't understand that, it cannot analyze it, and that's where the fine tuning comes in place, right? So but it happens only like less than 1% of the cases. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that, but you don't have to create the relationship. The good thing about Gen AI is it masters the unstructured data. It can understand it, and in some cases you can also pass the instruction and tell it that this relates to that. You can pass those instructions. So that's a beautiful part of this Gen AI, that it is not very difficult. You try it out, and if you have some problem, you can do prompt engineering, or you can do the fine tuning to address those gaps. Okay. There was another question, I think, from Rashi. She said, how do you see AI reshaping enterprise data management looking ahead 3 to 5, in terms of regulatory compliance, trusted decision making, and measurable business
Siddharth,
outcomes?
sorry, we will pick it up. But before that, one more important aspect which is coming in, which we wanted to touch upon,
Mhm.
that how enterprise can balance the automation. And I will not say AI is just for automation. It is the ways of working and implementation. So it is beyond automation. But the question which is there, that how can enterprises balance automation versus human oversight when applying AI to critical data management? So can you just pick up your thought on this? I would wanted to hear your thought.
Yeah. So automation versus human oversight. Okay. So, I'm a human, so I'm biased towards human. And I would say that, that the human oversight is not going anywhere. But you have to understand this, and this is a very important aspect of it, right? Um, the This technology makes everything fast, which means that it is more productive, and then you do not need as much human efforts in order to do the same thing. That obviously means that the amount of effort that you need, or the number of people that you need for the same amount of job, will reduce, which is already happening. You don't need as many people for data engineering. You can use a copilot to write the code. It can do that. You can analyze it. You don't have to create the reports as many that we have created in the past. That is absolutely true. But remember, when we got Excel, and when people transition from paper spreadsheet to the Excel, things were fast. You needed much less people. But then, when as technology became very useful and cheaper and economical, more people started using it, right? Which is what, in fact, is happening. This is called the Jevons paradox as well. That when the technology becomes cheaper, it actually explodes in the usage, because now more people can afford it and use it. Not it doesn't reduce the spend, which is what Bureau of Labor Statistics is also saying, that as AI become more accessible, in 10 years we expect the certain number of jobs, including particularly the developer job, right, the engineering job, to actually increase, not decrease, because now more can be done. The only thing is this, like, for example, think about it. Today the organization has to prioritize their budgets and the project. Why? Because they only have certain budget to spend. But what if they can do more? So now they can continue to spend the same amount of money, but they can do double the things, right? With the same amount of money,
Yep.
provided the corporate greed doesn't take over and say that, like reduce it. So contingent to that, I see that now more things will be done. And that's how actually it's going to actually help in the overall data management. The more projects can be done, more data can be brought in. And the dark data, like 70% of data is supposed to be dark, has never been used before. With this, we believe that the AI will help us shed light on that dark data.
Yep. Great. So now let me pick up a question from Rasi that looking ahead 3 to 5 year, how do you see AI reshaping enterprise data management, particularly in terms of regulatory compliance, trusted decision making, and measurable business outcomes? Is there any one capability you believe will separate market leaders from laggards? So before I open it to Shadab, let me put a couple of points here. See, generally, and I'm a 20 25 year plus data practitioner. Anyone will throw problem to me to around data management. I used to always feel it's a large, complex problem to solve. But what I wanted to put across in with the advent of AI and agentic AI, which is again coming very innovatively, and as we speak, there are a lot of agents which are getting built by various player, right? So if we really need to crack future of AI driven data management and how it will drive and become, some enterprises will become a leader. uh, Personally, I believe that this agentic approach, breaking the complex problem into very smaller problem, where it is just having a PII, data security control, or having a particular regulatory compliance. I think we need to really look into this open architecture agentic approach where we can break down complex problem into smaller and start picking up those advancement of technology, and with the experience that, and the experience of entire data management will not go away. So we pick up those and we try to implement and make this complex problem into a smaller chunk and solve it, so that enterprises become really beneficial. So open to your thought, Sudhav, how do you see from a Microsoft perspective? But
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
I would say great question, and this is how I will say. Just a couple of months back, we have published a report called "The Year the Frontier Firm is Born," which is 2025. Right, this report was actually published by Microsoft as part of a Work Trend Index annual report, and you will see what trends it has actually predicted. Some of the things, for example, you can buy intelligence on tap. Okay, so basically it says that we are entering a new reality in which AI can reason and solve problems in remarkable ways. Intelligence and tap on tap will mean basically there is a unlimited intelligence available, and you just need to basically start consuming it, because now you are able to, as I said, right, once you have overcome that fundamental bottleneck of data management, data engineering, now you can start using it. Now you are enabling your users and employees with the assistant, AI assistant, so that they can actually get to things faster. You have researcher agent, for example. Many times when I have to do something, I use the agents a lot. I use the researcher agent, I use the analyst agent, and I ask it to actually create certain reports and find out about the information. That is the intelligence on tap. I did not have that capability earlier. I could not access that, right? I had like how much time could I spend on search to find out a great McKinsey consultant style report? I do that in 10 minutes now with the researcher agent, and the results are fantastic and first class. Okay, with all the citations, everything. That's truly the power of the agent and the AI. This is called intelligence on tap. Secondly, it also talks about that everybody is going to be an agent boss, right? Where basically everybody has certain like I have a researcher agent, I have a sales agent, okay, I have a co-pilot agent, I have multiple agents working at Microsoft. That's one of the perks, that I have all these enablements. So basically, all these agents are working for me. The org structure is appending, right? I mean, there are many things that I can do, which I don't have to now depend on others. So the org structure, the inter role working structure, everything is changing with that one. So it's a very good. We can't go in detail on that report, but it's a fantastic report, and Microsoft is talking about that organization which basically uses these things, intelligence on tap. It enables the human agent teams, and every employee becomes an agentic boss. That is the definition of a frontier firm, basically, who's leading it. And I'll tell you
Yep.
what, in terms of there was a study that we did. We do it every year. IDC does that study, and it's commissioned by Microsoft. What we have learned is that for every $1 that you spend, Gen AI returns $3.7 for
Yep.
every $1 that you spend, and that happens in as little as 6 months. But you know what? the leaders, they get up to $10 for every $1, and that's the difference between the leaders and the average lot. And of course, there is a lot which is just keeping $1 to $1, right?
Great.
So leaders can get up to $10 compared to an average enterprise which is getting only $3.7. That's the difference that you can make with certain behavioral changes.
Great. Great. So I think we already crossed almost 6 to 7 minutes of our stipulated time. Great question and it's still coming in. What I wanted to summarize with that this is an endless topic. Both I'm very excited about this area where AI can transform really the entire data management, and it will bring a seamless integration from AI to data to AI for the consumption, right? So that is the way it is getting synchronized from AI data to AI. With that as a summarized view, I will let Sadab also to summarize, and then I will let Mega to come in and close the session. Yeah, Sadab.
All I will say is thank you for all these great questions. I love to learn from all these questions, and and share what we have learned actually at Microsoft as well as in our own. As I said, right, I'm also a co-host of the AI Files podcast and YouTube channel. So we do a lot of these discoveries, and happy to share all of this. We continue to share that every week in that channels as well. And finally, ultimately, all of this needs to realize as a benefit, and that's where Microsoft and C5I partners work together to actually enable this. So that's all I will say. So thank you for this partnership.
Thanks, Sadab. Mega, over to you.
Shadab, and thank you, Shadab. Thank you, Rakesh, for a wonderful, wonderful masterclass. I think it was nothing less than a masterclass on how we can leverage AI and ML across data lifecycle with making. I think our audiences definitely got a lot of practical insights on how Microsoft C5I are enabling this for many enterprises as well, or tackling it within Microsoft as well. So great session. The questions, quality of questions, and then follow-up questions some people had were very, very practical, and I'm sure they learned a lot. If anyone wants to get in touch with either Rakesh or Shadab, any follow-up questions that have not been answered today, please reach out to us, and we can continue the discussion post the session as well. Thank you again, Shadab and Rakesh, for your time, and thank you for everyone for tuning in.